Welcome to Liturgical Life Creations Kickstarter campaign for Fruitful Fables Wisdom of Ages book series. Our aim is to create a 9-book set series pairing the fruit of the Spirit with a retelling of a classic fable. This will be the first offerings and introductory topics for young children that follows ideas found in liturgical wall calendars for young kids. We have big plans and need your help to realize them. Liturgical Life Creations is the brainchild of a Virginian mother seeking colorful, age-appropriate ways to support the spiritual growth inherent in children. And we really do believe that children are born inherently spiritual. And unfortunately, through experiencing life over time in this fallen world, they start losing access to that. And by the way, that's me. I'm Amberly. I'm the mother. It's nice to meet you. I spend quite a bit of time thinking about how to introduce spiritual concepts to my own family that sparks imagination and supports a lifelong understanding that Christianity and liturgy are not just things we do sometimes, in some places, and in some contexts. They are lived day in and day out. We started with a liturgical wall calendar for kids that goes from Advent through the end of ordinary time instead of January through December, which helps young children learn and understand rule of life rhythms within their own families. Then came add-ons like stickers for the calendar to keep track of additional saints and school days and family events and trips, travel. Now we're ready to branch out into other colorful and supportive spiritual content as companions to the topics that are introduced in the wall calendar. Which brings me to today. Our liturgical wall calendar for ages 3 to 7 was created for my own son before I shared it with the world. He's 4.5, by the way, and we've been using it for the last 1.5 years, and he loves it. It has great focus points and ideas for topics throughout the year in liturgically sound and developmentally appropriate times. At the beginning of Advent every year, I start planning which of these spiritual topics I'm going to introduce to my son over the course of the year. And as I was organizing, I realized I needed to find additional stories or ways to catch his interest without it being part of a lesson plan that he needed to sit through. The whole point is for it to be organic. And children who are made to sit through lesson plans can tell it's meant to be a lesson and not just part of their everyday life. But what I found either didn't satisfy me visually or it didn't satisfy me foundationally. I had to piecemeal stories together from various places, and some of the books I'd even have to modify as I was reading them to him in order to fit what I needed. There had to be a smoother way, and I knew what I wanted him to learn. I knew what I wanted the stories to say. I even knew what I wanted them to look like. And I know I'm not the only one raising a child with the love of God that has a similar problem. So I'm making my own. And just like with the calendar, I want to share it with the world. I've begun creating exactly what I hoped I'd find. This is only the first of a much larger projected goal to provide enriching, organically introduced theological concepts using literature and family activities throughout the year. We are starting with ordinary time topics, as it's going to take us some time to get this right. Our first topic is introducing the fruit of the Spirit to young kids through retelling classic fables. Classic literature is important for children to connect age-old ideas to the current world. Fables are timelessly fun and have endless potential for creativity. Bonus, fables are a perfect way to discuss virtues and the pitfalls of what happens when you engage in vice without lecturing, which no one of any age likes. So we've selected one fable that aligns with each of the fruit of the Spirit for a total of 9 stories. So far, I've written the retelling of 5 of the 9 fables, along with matching the fruit of the Spirit proverb appropriate for young children, and suggested reflection questions. I'm projected to finish all of the stories by February of 2025. Once completed, we'll need to send the stories to be professionally edited, illustrated, and then published. So we need your help because doing a project like this from scratch is not an easy task alone. Here's an overview of our general timeline. As items on the list progress, we'll let you know through updates here on our Kickstarter page as well as on our social media. In February of 2025, we'll be sending the stories for editing and proofreading. And the editing process takes some time. So we're going to be looking at developmental edits to make sure that the stories really are as cohesive as they should be. We'll be looking at line edits to catch major grammatical and syntax issues, and then a final proofreading to make sure that it is, in fact, print ready. That same month, we're going to hire an artist for the illustrations and the covers of the stories. In March of 2025, we're going to have a virtual Q&A with me, the author, for the backers who selected that as part of their reward tier. In April of 2025, we're going to be sending the books for formatting. And the formatting is going to be for paperback copies, hardback copies, and digital copies for ebooks. In May of 2025, we're going to send for publishing and printing. In June of 2025, we are going to ship signed copies for backers who selected this as part of their reward tier. In the same month of June, we're going to be collecting reviews from folks who've agreed to do so with an advanced copy. This is by no means a requirement for backers who selected a reward tier that includes a copy of the book in any format, signed or otherwise. You'll have the opportunity to decide if you want to review to help us out in marketing, but that's only if you want to. It turns out that books that aren't reviewed don't do well in marketing, and I've done the deep dive on this, and it's astonishing what even just 3 reviews will do for a book series. So we'll be looking for folks who'd like to review our book before launch through our social media after the tiered backers get their advanced copies. In July of 2025, we're going to host a virtual reading of the first book before the launch for the backers who chose this as part of their reward tier. In August of 2025, we're going to send all of the unsigned books to backers who chose this as part of their reward tier. And then in September of 2025, right on time for when the topic approaches for the liturgical wall calendars, we're going to send the book up for marketing and then launch it for the public. Given the amount of money we're asking for in total, transparency about funds and need is very important to us. In truth, professional editing, illustrating, designing, and printing of 9 stories is pricey. Then we're going to need the ability to market and ship out those books for distribution. And after looking into professional industry practices and getting quotes, we've determined that our total needed budget for all of this is around $19,000. But because of taxes and fees, we'll need to raise more than that to ensure that we have the $19,000 we need for the project itself. The breakdown looks like this for all 9 books. The editing and formatting is going to cost around $11,800. The illustrations and covers around $4,500. And then marketing, printing, and shipping is going to cost us around $2,700. Taxes and related fees, in order for us to be able to have the $19,000 we need at the end of it all, is around $17,200. So I started Liturgical Live Creations to support families like mine in bringing to life liturgical living for their children at home and in the community. There are many websites dedicated to crafts and meals, liturgical seasons, and holy days. But what we're striving to create is a way for children to learn through developmentally appropriate stories and traditions that fit into everyday life. We want to show children liturgy isn't just for home or church or those special occasions. It's real life lived daily with friends, family, and strangers we just meet once. What better way to support this learning than through seeing how these age old stories that nearly everyone they will come into contact with at school or play will also have heard, how they reflect the fruit of the Spirit from the Bible. All of life's truths are true because they are of God, no matter who thought them. The more connections like this that we make for our children, the more connected to their spiritual life they will remain. We would appreciate any help you can give in our quest. We are grateful to those generous people who see a dream and help make it a reality. Come check us out on social media and our website too. We are always planning and dreaming over there. Thank you.